I don't know, spending time with grandpa. So whereabouts in Uganda are you?
Hey.
Whereabouts in Kenya?
Thank
Sorry.
you. I know you want me, but
Listen, we are close enough as family.
No, actually that's a good segue because I'm Luya. My tribe is called Luya, and I'm from the western part of Kenya, which is literally right next to Uganda. So I understand the confusion.
Exactly. Alright. I've just had a mishap for this family. We cleared it up. You are basically one of us anyway.
Anyway, Wakanda forever. I've literally never even like bothered. Like it's never been like in my head to try and come here. And actually earlier that day I was at the British Council because they're one of my clients, and I was standing there thinking I have no like need to ever like be here trying to get like a visa or whatever. I don't know. It's funny that I thought that, and then in the evening God was telling me you're moving to the UK. So on my drive home I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I think I'm moving to London. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's a job and I'm gonna get it. And she's like, oh, you've gotten it. I'm like, I have not applied yet. But and she
no, what did I say? Oh my goodness. This is NorSpeaksOut. I'm just confused. I'm looking in your eyes.
Stop looking in my eyes. They're so deep. Like, I'm confusing you.
You know what we're doing to this Nigerian?
He's confused.
Hey.
He's like, I told her like East African girls. No, look at me.
Look, I'm sure his mom is saying the same thing. He's like, East Africans.
That's forehead. That's big forehead. She confused you with her forehead.
Oh
my God, you know, Maisha London, that's what he is like living like you're in London. Like that's it's like living your best life. So many people, it's easy for people to just assume, oh, you're living so well, you're so happy. But the advice I would give is anybody who has left home misses home.
Yeah.
So as a friend, as a relative, reach out. Wahura. Hey! Say it again.
Wahura.
What are you saying? Wahura?
Yeah, but we kind of heard. But you don't have to.
Wait, can I guess what that means? Does that mean have you heard?
Yeah. How do you know that?
I told you we are near Uganda.
To NorSpeaksOut. This channel is all about African history and diaspora stories. I am so excited today to interview my guest. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself in just a second, so prepare yourself to hear her story and her experiences that she's had in the UK thus far. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'm not even going to say your name, I'm going to give you the window to do that yourself. Tell us your name, please, where you came, where you're from, when you came to the UK as well, please.
Alright. Okay, so my name is Sylvia Isige. My middle name is Ludisi. Many people don't know that. Because I just don't use it enough, I guess. Yeah, it's a nice name.
Yes, it's very cute.
Yeah. I moved here from Nairobi, so that's in Kenya, in 2019, July. So I kind of just like got here just before like COVID. Thank God. That would have been terrible.
Hey.
Yeah, so I've been here about 2 years and a couple of months, probably 3 years in July. Yeah.
Okay, nice. And so you're from the city girl?
Yes.
Born and raised?
Like deeply city girl. Like,
okay.
I think the most time I've spent in the like rural areas or like village would be maybe a week.
A week?
Yeah, like in a row.
Hey.
Like, because what are you doing there?
You know, I don't know, spending time with grandpa. So whereabouts in Uganda are you?
Hey.
Whereabouts in Kenya?
Thank
Sorry.
You. I know you want me, but
listen, we are close enough as family.
No, actually that's a good segue because I'm Luya. My tribe is called Luya, and I'm from the western part of Kenya, which is literally right next to Uganda. So I understand the confusion.
Exactly. Alright. I've just had a mishap for this family. We cleared it up. You are basically one of us anyway.
Anyway, Wakanda forever.
Okay, so 2019 you came, been here 2.5, or nearly 3 years now.
Yeah, nearly 3 years now, yeah.
How old were you when you came?
29.
29, that's a good age, okay.
I think so,
That's a good travelling age. I feel like you're quite more mature, I guess. And
no, that's true. That is true.
more
But
of yourself.
what's funny is like I had just moved out of home as a full-grown woman. I don't want to say I'm not independent, but like I really like my parents. So I stayed at home until I was 29. So I finally was like, you know what, this is the year I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna start my whole life. So I moved out in January. And then I ended up getting a job here and moving in July. So it lasted me 7 months living alone in Nairobi.
Wow. So it was almost like you had to get further away from your parents.
No, it's like on 31st how you make your list and you're like, this year I'm gonna just be independent, and God was like, aha! Independent.
Let's see about that.
Go, traverse, leave the continent.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so 29 in 2019.
Yeah.
What was the reason for coming to the UK?
Okay, so I work, maybe I should have said this part also when I was introducing myself, but so I work in a bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and I have worked there for, this year is going to be 10 years.
Hey, congrats! A decade.
Thank you. I'm going to have a party. I'll do it for myself, obviously. But yeah, so I work for the bank there, and the bank is really nice because you have opportunities to apply for jobs anywhere, like in any market that the bank operates in. And I've always, so in my head, I always said, you know what, I want to like work outside of Kenya, but also like I only want to work somewhere where they speak English, because like I like peace and like, yeah. So I'm not trying to be reading signs in German, like I can't do it. It's not happening.
Okay.
So I thought my actual initial plan was to just get like a short-term stint in like New York, because like who doesn't want to try living in New York?
Yeah.
But then this opportunity came up, and it was in the exact department that I want to work in, doing the kind of work I want to do. So I was like, let's go for it. And actually immediately I was told about it. I just knew like I was going to get the job. Like before even I applied, so I'll talk more about that maybe when you ask me about my job.
Okay.
But yeah.
Interesting. All right. So just like you had been living by yourself. So we had that independent session for 7 months.
Yeah.
And then, so the reason for coming, it wasn't necessarily that you wanted to leave Kenya for a particular reason, or you just thought, actually, I want a new experience, just see what else an English-speaking country has to offer.
So, honestly, I feel like, most people have super interesting stories about what makes them leave their country and move to a whole other, like, place, which is, like, the living here is very different from living, in Nairobi, in Kenya. But mine, I would say, is very much God-led. So, I'm a Christian, obviously. We know each other from Bible study. But the day, let me just explain it. So I'm here, I'm doing my job. So I work in corporate banking, and the kind of segment that I cover is like banks. Okay, that I covered in Kenya was banks and like insurance companies and like development organizations. And then my friend calls me up, and he tells me there's a job here, do you want to just check it out? And I was just, as he was telling me about it, God was like, you're going to get that job and you're going to move to the UK. And my heart like dropped. Because like I literally never wanted to come here. So I had never been to the UK, and I always like pictured it as like rainy and grey and like really just drab and like so I've literally never even like bothered, like it's never been like in my head to try and come here. And actually earlier that day I was at the British Council because they're one of my clients, and I was standing there thinking I have no like need to ever like be here trying to get like a visa or whatever. I don't know, it's funny that I thought that, and then in the evening God was telling me you're moving to the UK. So on my drive home I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I think I'm moving to London. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's a job and I'm gonna get it. And she's like, oh, you've got it. I'm like, I have not applied yet. But, and she's like, what is wrong with this child? I'm just like, Mom, yeah, I know, it makes no sense right now. But I'm telling you now without a shadow of doubt. And it's not because I'm super confident. I'm just moderately confident. I'm not super confident. Like the right amount of confidence. But I just knew, and so I started. So I did my so I had not At that time, I've been in the bank 7 years.
Okay.
I had literally like not updated my CV in I don't even know
Oh,
how long.
okay.
So I'm there. I'm calling my sister who is in Germany at the time
Okay.
because she was doing her masters. I call her and I'm like, Anita, I'm gonna need you to do my CV because I need to apply for a job. So obviously she did it for me, but then she's super like. Literally the best.
This is how you bully your baby sisters.
It's not
basically.
bullying. Look,
Yeah.
she's talented. Like if anybody needed someone to just talk to someone for 5 hours, they can come to me because I can do it. But that's her talent. So she did the CV for me. I applied. The interview process went really well.
Yeah.
I guess partly because I felt like I just knew, so maybe that confidence kind of pushed me.
Yeah.
But also it honestly it went just wonderfully, and they really needed someone very fast.
Okay.
And so at the point, I think it was by May, I had already been told, yeah, so we're gonna offer you this job and this blah blah blah, and they actually wanted me to come like ASAP. Then I asked them, please can I come like at the end of June because my little sister was getting married, and I was like, I don't want to come and then come back, and then so they were so kind and they let me come in June. So I came, I think I came in July because I think something happened and it extended a little bit longer. I feel like I have forgotten the dates, I'm sorry, but it may have been July because I came the day after my sister's wedding.
Okay.
So her wedding was in July. So then I came in July and I got here and I was like, wow. Because that was literally the first time coming into the UK.
Yeah.
And by then, obviously, I stopped feeling like downtrodden and whatever because I was like, I have seen God say something to me and then literally do it.
Yeah.
That was very, very cool.
Oh my goodness. And you wanted it to be New York, and then the Lord was like, no.
Yeah.
London.
She was like London, and I was like, all right, so we shall go there.
Oh my God. Okay, so didn't want to come necessarily. Heard the Lord tell you to come.
Yeah.
You came.
Yeah.
Well done.
I was like, Jonah. I was like, I'm just gonna.
What was the transition, or how has the transition been like for you? So let's go 2019 July. Oh, you came at a good time. I guess it's nice and warm at least.
I came on the hottest week of the year.
Okay, but how, like, walk us through sort of your experience, like, first couple of months and how you settled into UK.
I think the first thing was like when I came, and so usually in Kenya, if someone is moving from another country, the bank will have like, you know, a cab driver pick them from wherever they're staying, bring them to the office, blah blah blah. So I asked my friend, so who's gonna pick me? My friend was like, catch the train, my sister. I'm like, fast what? Sorry, the what? So I was asking him that obviously before I came.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I was like, so I'm so lucky. So I have a friend, her name is Unita.
Okay.
She's just literally the best person. And she was doing her master's here. And this girl is so sweet. She came and picked me up at the airport. Airport. So luckily the bank is nice. They got a car at least to get me from the airport to like where I was staying, like because they get accommodation for you for a month. Because obviously like how you're gonna get accommodation.
Okay.
So they give you accommodation for a month, then they set you up with someone to help you look for houses.
Okay.
And then so like just basically they're trying to also help you because it's not easy.
Yeah.
So they got a car to take me. So I came with my friend, she brought me to the house. And it was early. I can't remember what time my flight got here, but it was like afternoon. So we got to the place, I unpacked a little bit, took a shower, and she was like, let's go to the office. So I came so that tomorrow, because it was Sunday. It's like so that tomorrow you know how to go. So she used to work with me in Nairobi in the bank. So she knows where the office in London is as well. Okay. So she showed me, so you come here, you tap here, you get in here, you take this train, look here for the time, and she literally, and so we did that and came back to that. So honestly, I feel like I would have freaked out the next day.
Honestly,
if it wasn't for her.
Not for London.
Can you imagine?
Scary situation.
No, but it was nice because it was what was the place called Aldgate.
Oh, okay.
Super near, like it's literally so near the office because our offices are in Moorgate, so it was very near. It was not hard.
Were you like central? Where they would house you for the month? Were you north, east London?
What is Aldgate? It's near Whitechapel. Is that East London? It's literally
very central east.
Yeah.
Okay. Not too bad.
Yeah.
So your initial month or couple of months were quite nice because you had that friend.
I literally had her, but she was like doing her masters and like school. I don't know if you've done your masters, but I haven't done because school is hard. But she was very busy most of the time, but she was wonderful in terms of just helping me out. I literally only knew her and like a few other Kenyans who worked in the office. I have no family here, no other friends outside of work. So it was a little difficult initially, and then luckily I got so my friend from Kenya told me, oh, I have this friend of mine who's living in London. I gave him your number. He's gonna help you out. I'm like, sorry, what? So I was like, okay. I was like, okay, that's fine. So this guy calls me up and he's like, Sylvia, I have a lady, a nice lady. She works in KPMG. She's looking for housemates. Do you want? And I was like, oh, thank you so much, but no, I don't want to live with strangers. And he laughed and he was like, this is London, my dear, you're going to live with her. Hey. And I was like, okay, fine, give her my number. So this girl called me up, sent me photos. She was so sweet on the phone. I was like, you know what, I really like her. And so she told me, please come on the weekends. That was not the first weekend of me being here. She was like, please come on the weekend, come see the house, check it out. If you like it, wonderful. I came and I took the house and I was like, yes. Okay. It's a yes for me. Immediately I stepped into the door. I was like, yes, I'm moving in. So literally first week of being in London, I got my house. Nice. So God was just like
setting things up. And really, you didn't do it. You didn't, like most people will come and you're on every kind of website looking for.
So I still did use the banks. Like, you know, they give, I think it's 2 or 3 days, full days of just someone driving you around, showing you houses. So I did use the first one because I was like, I don't want to just take this without having actually seen other options. And I saw the other options and I was like, no, nothing compares. So I did tell the lady, I already found a place, but I want to see. And so she showed me. So I just, God was good.
Oh my goodness, that's so good.
Yeah.
So you were really kind of like you're saying, God really buffered that whole process. You had that friend that was here, the bank kind of sorted you out as well, and then your friend making the call back home and then you just get like, and you step in and it works.
And
most people get here and it's
like, you're like, I need it here.
No, nice. Okay. So when you first came then, you're here, no family, you've got a couple people I guess around and are helping you out and providing I guess the support that is there and helpful in a way. What kind of difficulties would you say that you went through? So you had, I guess, some of the things were made nicer for you in a way, but on the other side of that, what was the negative side of?
So unfortunately there was a lot of negative just because like it's a new place and the culture here is quite different from. So our office is back home, and I guess in most, I don't know about other, because I've literally only worked for this bank, so I don't know about other places, but I assume they're kind of the same. People are very friendly. Most of you hang out outside of work.
Okay.
Like even like it doesn't like, because when I joined the department that I was in, I think just me and one guy were literally the only 2 people under 30, and at that point I was like 23. So it was very even though the people are much older, would still look out for drinks because it's a corporate banking like situation. So there's a lot of cocktails and drinks and what. So you really get to know each other and hang out and like have fun. So even in the office, we're casual with each other and it's easy. So here, obviously, I think the culture is very, very different. There's this, I think, which is just cuts across, not even just in the office, a lot of individualism. So people really just are looking out for number one, and people are not very open, and it's and then of course the people from different nationalities that I'm used to. Of course, the Kenyan office, majority Kenyans. Here it's like minority, like unbelievably minority. So it was quite hard, and so I talk a lot, but I'm very introverted. So in the office, like I was very, very introverted. I was barely talking because I felt like I don't know these people. You don't know me. We just come in, you say good morning, and I literally put in my earphones and just work. I go for lunch alone. I used to call my sister at lunchtime so at least I have someone to talk to. I would literally spend majority of the day in my head because I'm not really talking to anyone else. So unless I have a client call, unless there's a meeting, I'm really not talking to anyone. And that got really hard, especially like as winter started and it got super dark and it's getting dark at 3. And that really like, that did not like work for me. It was not good. And I really, it was a really hard time to be honest. And so a good thing is I found BSF, so because I used to do this Bible study fellowship in Nairobi, so I googled to check if there's a London class. I found one and I joined it. So that was helpful because at least I was talking to other people. Because otherwise I would literally just be at work. And then my housemate she worked at an audit firm, so she was literally at work all the time.
Okay.
So she was not really here a lot. And also I think I was a little bit closed off, so I was very just in my own feelings. So it was, that was hard. That was very hard.
So you think the office environment here sort of made you closed off? Because you weren't closed off in Nairobi.
But you see, I think Nairobi is different because even if the office is difficult, you have friends, you have family, you can, like when you go home, there's a different life there. But you see here, you come from that and then I come to nothing. Like, so it's like both ways, there's really no one to talk to. And I think that's also when you find that the time difference between here and home is a bit hard because by the time you get home it's like 9-10 p.m. Kenya time, so people even who had called or talked to are asleep. So it became quite like lonely at that time, to be honest.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Any other difficulties you would say that you had?
Oh yeah, like getting used to the life here that is like, while I guess this is a more developed country or whatever, there's a lot of easy things back home that are just not here. Like, you know, at home you'd have someone to clean your house, you have your car, you have, like, you don't take public transport, like, rarely. And
even in Nairobi, you don't go on a bus.
People do. I also did.
Sorry.
I don't sound spoiled. I'm not trying to sound spoiled. I'm just saying, like, most of the time.
Interesting.
No, I'm just saying most of the time,
yeah,
you know, if you have a car, it's easier to drive.
Yeah.
You know, here I don't know if I would ever even want to get a car here first. I feel like I would fail that driving test, so I'm not going to try. But I just feel like it's hard to get parking. It's just a hassle.
Yeah.
In Nairobi, it's not a hassle at all. Like it is so. In fact, using public transport feels like more of a hassle because you see in Nairobi we don't have trains like here, so it's via road. Sometimes there's a lot of traffic, and sometimes they're full. Sometimes there's strikes.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a bit like it's when it works, but those moments that it doesn't work, it messes your whole day up. So it's easier to just have your own car.
Yeah.
And you can just go wherever
without
stress. So when I came here, you know, you have to public transport and this whole thing of it's kind of raining a little bit every day. I think that was one of the worst things of here. You know, people are like, oh, it's gonna rain, and I kept waiting for the rain because I realized it never actually rains, it's just drizzling.
Yeah.
But then you realize it drizzles every single day, forever. And you're just like.
So you just want the like nice torrential.
I'm not even saying, but I prefer like 3 days of that and then calm than a constant, never ending drizzle.
Okay, fair enough.
So I just that I didn't really love. Those are like the tiny bits that I didn't really love. Yeah.
Tidying up, you know. No.
I feel like I'm coming across as very spoiled, but I'm not very spoiled. I'm slightly spoiled. But I just miss.
That's fair enough.
I miss having to do some of these things. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Okay. Alright. Fair enough. Yeah. Alright. So far. Okay, technically lockdown kind of took a bit of the time, but you've been here 3 years.
Yeah.
Almost 3 years. What is your plan moving forward?
So I've always found that question very like I have no good answer because even when people ask me when I moved here, like, so what's your plan? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna stay there? Are you gonna? And I'm like, I'm not sure. On the one hand, I kind of just say, oh, God knows, because God is the one who made me come. So He's the one who will tell me when it's time for me to go back or to move somewhere else or whatever. But also, I think in my head, so I really like the work I'm doing here. And I like the field of work that I'm in. I like what I'm learning. I really enjoy my job, to be honest.
Is that different from what you were doing in Nairobi?
It's more like, what's the word? Sometimes I forget English. It's like more, it's drilled in because there I told you I was covering like investment banks and what. Here I'm just literally working on development organizations and like public sector.
Nice. So
I love the work. So I want to say that my initial plan was like, yeah, you know, I'll come try to 5 years at least, learn, grow in the role, you know, gain experience, you know, get the exposure, living abroad and what, and then I go back home. Now that I'm here, I think my mind has opened up a little bit in the sense that I I can be anywhere. So I literally, I don't know, even I might not go back home from here, I might move to another market. I might stay here longer. I honestly don't really have a good answer. I think right now it's just, I'm kind of flowing with the way the work is going. It's going really well. And, you know, where I feel God calling me to, or, you know, whatever happens.
Okay, so we're waiting until God says.
But also just based on what work looks like and what life, you know, life happens.
That's
so
true.
I'm open. Basically, I'm very open to however things go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So 3 years. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
It's been 3 years already.
Again, lockdown took
Yeah,
a bit,
so
but it's still 3 years. It counts. It all counts. Okay. Would you recommend then for any other Kenyan person maybe thinking of coming to the UK, or any other person from Africa? Would you recommend that they should come to, from your experience so far? Would you say, this UK, it's not too bad?
Yeah. Okay, 100% I would recommend, just because I feel like the world is so big and we need to go places. It's not good for us to stay in one place. It's very good for us to like go and travel and live. And I think one of the best ways to really explore the world is to live somewhere different, because visiting is very different. Coming here as a tourist is not the same as coming and living here.
True.
So I think it's good. So I would definitely encourage it. I just think you need to be aware of, you know, the downside that there is, because I think when I moved here, there's a colleague who I told, so I'm moving to London, and he was like, oh, you just made the worst decision of your life, you're gonna hate it.
Hey.
And I was like, oh my god, are you scared? So I don't want to say that, I just want to say that you need to be prepared. It's different. Definitely anywhere you move is going to be different, because it's not where you're from, or it's not where you're used to. So I think it's just the preparation of you know, things won't be the same. You know, your mindset, be aware of the weather differences, be aware that it might affect you mentally, and figure out ways. Because I think for me, like I said, there was a time that was not so great, but I found ways to you know, get myself out of it and be in a nice place mentally, because honestly, like, it's kind of that bad weather like most of the year. If you do not work on it, you'll be miserable all the time. So I just think those are the kind of things that people should be prepared for. And the fact that I came here alone, like in the sense of no family, no friends outside of work, it shows anybody can actually just come here. It's not easy. No one is saying it's easy at all. I think it was a bit easier for me just because I think I had a lot of support on the immigration side from my office, but like on the personal level, it was quite hard.
Yeah. Okay. So considering all of like your experiences in the last couple of years, what advice would you give to another person from Kenya, from Africa, considering moving here, thinking about making the move that you have made? What words would you give to that person?
I think obviously that's just the thing that I think the first thing that people need to realize is the cultural difference, because I think that's the main, honestly I feel like that's the main thing that is so different, that can like change your experience or that will actually shape your experience. That's a better way of saying it. Because the people here are just very different from the people back home. And like I was reading somewhere and it spoke about you know, warm and cold people based on warm and cold cultures. And the warm cultures, like I think Africa, some of Asia, which is like India and stuff, and like South America, and you know, they're basically warm climates, and so the people from there are actually warmer. And I don't even know who started that thing of like referring to it as warm. We are warm people, that means we're inviting, and that's just because the temperatures there were nice and warm and hot, and so people would gather outside and talk and work together and laugh together and celebrate together, and you know, there was so much time to be spending time as a community and like serving one another. And the opposite of that is the cold cultures, which actually had really cold temperatures. And you know, you think of the Scandinavian Nordic countries, and you think of, you know, the UK and some of the Western countries, and these places were so cold back in the day. And you can imagine in those days you're trying to survive a winter, you and your family, that's what matters. I'm not going to be sitting here thinking, I should go outside and like gossip a little bit in the rain. No, I'm going to freeze to death. So I'm just trying to get food for my family. I'm trying to get us guys to survive the winter.
Yes.
And so somehow you find years, hundreds of years later, culture has not particularly changed.
Yeah.
Even though now we are warm in our homes and we can definitely meet up outside, somehow the culture is still it's kind of cold.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of just individualism. I think most people here, let me not say we, because I not come from here. So the people here are very think about their families, their community, not even community, because also the families here are quite small. Then contrast that to the families back home, which are massive, and you have a cousin's cousin, like the cousin of your cousin is your cousin, and that's like so fun, fetch.
It's true,
like it's your relative.
Yeah.
So that translates to the people here not being extremely open and welcoming as what we're used to. And it does not mean people don't like you, it just means that's just the culture. So I think that's one of the things to realize that's not personal. Nobody hates you. It's just very different. So once you figure that out, I think that also changes like your mindset, so you stop feeling hated. And secondly is find a community. Because I'm a Christian, my first thought would be find a church, find a Bible study. But if you're not Christian, that's still fine, because you can find like sports, you can get into football or I don't know, whatever sports people play. I'm not a sports person clearly. I could only think of football. You could get into there's running groups, there's art, there's just so many, there's literally London is such a vibrant city. There's so many things that you could plug yourself into. And I would advise anybody coming from abroad, not even just Africa, but like I guess mainly Africa, I suppose we're more people focused. Come here and find people, because that will make your life so much easier. So you have you can meet people who like the same things as you, can relate to, can feel less alone. So I think that's super important.
Can I ask one question? How important do you think it is then to find, do you feel like it's quite essential for people to try and find somebody from their background as well, or do you think it's fine, I guess, if you just get into some community somehow? Or do you reckon it's quite paramount for people to find a Kenyan family?
That's a really good question, honestly, and I think I want to say it's important to find both, because if I came here and then I only hung out with Kenyans, where did I come? Like I should have stayed in Kenya. To be honest, you can't say you came here for the experience and then you only hang out with other Kenyans and you only do Kenyan things. It speaks for of course. So the reality is, even so, my housemate is Kenyan as well, and you'll find we have a really really good Kenyan community, and we do enjoy hanging out, and we speak Swahili. It's amazing. So I love that, but I also love finding groups of other people, because it opens my mind to how other people think, meeting new friends and people from all over the world. So I think it's both ways. I think both are extremely important. So I think also if you just come and you meet, rather you focus on finding groups of people not from where you are, there's something that you feel lacking, because the reality is this is not your home. But meeting people who are from your home, there's something it does, it warms your heart. So it's like you bring a little bit of home here. So I think it's very important to do both.
I like that. So understand the culture, first of all, find yourself a community, find some people from home if you can, but also find some local people. Like it. What advice then would you give to relatives back home who have sent their family members to the UK, to other places? What advice would you give them to support their family members abroad?
I like that question too, because I think sometimes the people who have sent you your family members back home, they don't realize how hard it can be. Like I think most people who have not lived abroad don't actually understand how hard it is to be away from your family. So I would have relatives who really understand, because they've also lived abroad, so it's easy for us to have a conversation about it. But there's others who are just like, you're living your best life. This is oof. You're honestly, you're just, oh my god, Maisha London, that's Swahili, is like living like you're in London. Like that's it's like living your best life. So many people, it's easy for people to just assume, oh, you're living so well, you're so happy. But the advice I would give is anybody who has left home misses home. So as a friend, as a relative, reach out, text them, call them, and it's so much easier now. It's not the 90s. People can video chat you. You can show them around. Like when I call my sisters or my mom, the other week I called them, or rather they called me, and I asked them, can you just show me around the house? I just miss the house.
Oh.
I miss my parents' house.
Oh.
And they just go room by room, and I'm like, that was really nice for me because I haven't been home in over a year, and for me that's a lot. So it's like heartwarming. So I'm just thinking those are little things that you can do. I have friends who send me photos because things are constantly changing in Nairobi, and they're like telling me, so they send me photos of new roads, of new restaurants, of new, so just it's super helpful. And so I think as people, if your family member is outside of the country and like living there, call them, text them, check on them, video, chat them, send them photos. I don't know, something.
just message hi.
Message hi. Hello. It's really helpful.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, but I remember something else. I feel like something that, although I don't know if this is the same for every country, because the Kenyan, like what you would call like the social media influencer world is massive. Like there's so much YouTube content and Instagram and whatever. So we really like I feel like when I was at home I never really used to watch them. But here I do, because it reminds me of home and it shows me like insight into home and what's going on, and I think people who are abroad should try that. Like it's super, honestly it's really nice, just because they're vlogging, which means you're like seeing whatever they're doing in the day and the new places they're going to, and they speak sometimes. So it's that has been super useful for me.
Okay, I like that. Okay. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Was there anything else that you wanted to add, or anything else you would say? Any other? Because I feel like in case there's a question or something that I should have asked and I didn't ask.
I legitimately cannot think of it.
Alright, that's fine. Thank you so much for sitting down with me, taking your time, for sharing your experiences with everybody. Thank you. Very helpful, and for the advice. Very wonderful nuggets that a lot of people will appreciate, I'm sure. And
yes, I hope so. No, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm very excited. I have never been on the YouTube. So
thank you.
Super exciting. I will send this link to everyone I know.
Yes, please. Thank you, girl, once again for coming on this YouTube channel. That's it, guys. We're done. So this is NorSpeaksOut. And today, Sylvia's spoken, and so we're asking you now, Wakura, which means, are you listening? Bye, guys.